Most biomedical engineering students know that there are a lot of healthcare problems that can be efficiently solved with available technologies like machine learning, artificial intelligence, and data science, but none of them actually get to learn machine learning or get to use machine learning. And the biggest impediment for this, or the biggest obstacle for a student learning machine learning, is that they don't have a good computing resource. They don't have access to a good laptop, computer, or a computing facility in college or in their library. In this video, we want to address this specific impediment, okay, that is lack of access to good computing resources. Specifically, if you want to train a reasonably large deep learning model, you would need a GPU for sure. Unfortunately, most of the laptops we have are like 8-year old, and the laptops that are available in the market with GPUs are very costly. Fortunately, there are many cloud resources that provide you GPU access free of charge. And in this video, we are going to walk you through training a deep learning model using a cloud platform known as Google Colab. Setting up the environment, or the libraries and all that in Google Colab is extremely easy, and Google Colab also gives you free GPU if it's available. Specifically stick to Python, that is also freely available. Okay, and now let's get to the problem walkthrough. Okay, Google Colab, search for that. First link of course will take you to the collaboratory. Make sure you are using the right account if you are using multiple accounts. Okay, so let me get into the right account. The moment you open Colab, if you already have any notebooks are available here, recent notebooks. You also have the option to create a new notebook. In this case, I'm going to use a notebook that I have already created. You could read about the basics of Colab in the Google Colab introductory page. Very briefly, you don't need a lot of configuration. It's very easy to set up the computer, and you get to access GPUs free of charge, and sharing and collaboration is relatively easy. And some details on getting started, basic data science is given over here. Could take a look at those links. But for today, what we are going to do is to do a ECG classification problem. I'm going to share this notebook along with you and give you some basic hints on how to use this. First thing you want to do is to make sure your Google Drive is accessible by Colab. This code will get you access to the appropriate Google Drive. What we have here is a series of codes in short cells. Each cell can be executed by clicking this play button. Okay, run the cell. If you are new to the notebook, what is important is the order in which you click this play buttons is important. Okay, it has a temporary memory, so the latest thing that was ran is what will be in the memory, be it variables, functions, and all that. Now notice my Google Drive is available, accessible through this notebook. Okay, let me get into the Google Drive. A repository we are going to use today is this MIT-BIH dataset. Again, the links for that is given in the descriptions. This is ECG classification using MIT-BIH. The first thing you want to do is you could directly download that into your Google Drive using just this command. Once you download that, I have already downloaded it, you can get into the appropriate folder that has all the Python files. One of the biggest challenges that students find while trying to use someone else's code is to set up the environment properly. To make the process easy, okay, if you run all the things given here in the order, things should work. And in general, what you are supposed to do is any repository, any good repository will have something called a requirements.txt. These are libraries with specific versions, and for this repository, for these codes to work, you need to have these libraries with these specific versions installed. Okay, installing some of them is very easy in Colab. Okay, it's just a matter of doing pip install the library name with the appropriate version, and this exclamation says it's not code, say something like Python, but it says has to be executed as a in the command line. Quickly install all of these, and once you do that, you also need to download the data, and there is a program, a specific Python file for you to help you download the data. Okay, I have already downloaded the data, so I am not going to run that again. Downloading this will take about 2 hours. This is a reasonably sized data set. And once you have that, of course, we also want to make sure that rest of the other libraries, the reason I am installing this library separately is because this particular code needs a slightly older version of pandas. So I first installed it, okay, pandas 0.24, and then I downloaded it. Once downloading is done, you need to actually set up the environment to run the deep learning machine. So install all the required libraries here. This will take about a few minutes. One thing about Colab is that this doesn't have permanent memory, specifically the environment. Each time you use a notebook, you need to set up the environment or install the required libraries. Okay, it will take about few minutes, but that's a price that you pay for a free GPU. And now this step is where we actually train the deep learning model, and this is going to take a lot of time. This is a step that will take about a couple of days if it is able to run in your laptop. This is where you need to make one more minor change here. Let's go to the edit notebook settings and make sure we have a GPU. Okay, by default it might be in none, but I have it in GPU, so I have a GPU system already installed here. And then when you run it, you are good to go if you are getting all this, setting up the scaras and all that. Here, after the confusion matrix, getting the results is going to take the most amount of time. Interestingly, notice each epoch here, which is essentially, if you think of it like batches, each batch kind of like takes about 9 seconds. If you have to run this in your laptop with a 8 GB RAM, this will take about 10 minutes. And I don't know how long this step takes. In my laptop, using a GPU takes about 2 hours roughly. Okay, and once if the environment is properly set and you install all required variables, and make sure your drive is always mounted, because sometimes you reset an environment, okay, the drive gets disconnected. So you need make sure the drive is always accessible, else just rerun the couple of lines, couple of cells at the beginning of this. And finally, once the model is trained and you get the results, without any error message, you could go ahead and run the predict.py. What we are doing here is to train a deep learning model with about millions of parameters, roughly 8 million parameters. Okay, this is a reasonably big sized model. This is not possible to do in most 8-year-old laptops, but thanks to Google Colab, now this is possible. Yeah, even the predict.py ran, and we have the final results over here. Let me not get into the details of what these numbers are, because that's not the objective. And the objective here really is that not having a good laptop is not really an excuse for not learning or doing data science. Hope you learned something very useful in this video, and all of you are going to try Google Colab. If you know of other alternatives, let us know in the comments. And if you are facing similar problems with respect to access learning technologies like machine learning, let us know what your specific problem is in the comment section, and we'll keep following up with more useful videos for biomedical engineers. Until then, have a good one, and I'll see you again. Bye bye.